Well, yes, it's exactly as was expected. It's the migration. Okay, so it means that we don't really need the Fog of War as it's literally useless on this kind of map. Looking at the civilizations, we have Vikings, Han and Japanese for the ByTs, whereas LoS are having also pretty much the same. So we are going to be seeing a proper mirror in here, which will be decided by proper skill. Looking at the colors, we have green, gray, teal. Green, gray, teal on the left, okay, so it seems like that LOS on the left side, with Gach being right now forced to fight Japanese against Vikings, would be quite interesting, especially for Setito, who should be having a bit of an upper hand, whereas on the left side, Miguelzin is playing Han, and the pocket as Viking, well, that's not ideal. You usually want to have the Vikings on the side, as obviously, when you have them as a flank, they will be engaged in the water battles, and that's exactly why you include them in your team. So right now it will be basically up to him to choose the correct side, but looking how Vikings are on the right side, you might be tempted to actually go in there as soon as Gach discovers that he is facing exactly this kind of threat. Looking at the main islands, oh, sucky for Gach. It's pretty sucky because he's having both mines in here, which wouldn't be all that bad, but I'm really not happy about the gold placement for him, because if he happens to lose the water, he will definitely be easily abusable on the gold, which will mean that, yeah, good luck fighting without any kind of gold whatsoever. Looking at the pocket, that's pretty much the same case here for Safarao, aka Ryut, so yeah, that will be a bit of a problem and definitely pretty good motivation for LoS to win the water, whereas the last one, at least Miguelzin, is going to be having a bit of luck with the gold, but not as much with the stone, but stone is not as crucial as the gold, of course. Just in tree line in here, kinda sucky, because yeah, if you build a lumber camp about here, it's going to be inefficient damn soon, so you're going to be forced to build extra lumber camps, like at least 2 extras in here if you are attempting to gather from it, which oh, this is actually a pretty low wood island if you have a look at it. There's not much of it. And this could be also a pretty important part of the game, because without the wood, yeah, you can't build any kind of ships. Looking at the other islands, kind of thinking that this is slightly better, not really anything great. Looking how he's going to the left with the villager, that's probably going to be the place where he drops the dock, which means that he won't be primarily looking to go to the right side and help Gach with the water battle, which is slightly disappointing, but I kind of thinking that second dock will be as normally for a pocket on the right side. So yeah, he will be going there and potentially have a chance to help his great teammate soon enough. Gach is going for not really offensive. Offensive dock would be somewhere here, but looking how he doesn't need to take care of some kind of pass behind his island. He's basically trying to secure the passage to the mainland in here, which is also a pretty good idea and something that you do on migration. Well, this seems like a pretty good dock placement for him. So let's switch into the opponents right now, who are having safe gold and stone. As far as Setito goes, he's so far having dock at the back, so that's a very defensive position, and he's thinking that he needs to take this carefully. And also could be telling us that he might be interested in some faster advance into castle, but looking how he's Viking, I'm kind of thinking that he should be more going for galley rush, and this is just taking things a bit careful and hoping that he can receive some support from Tatoch very soon. Tatoch is already moving to the right, or moving. He's already having a dock placed in there, so he will be potentially easier accessible in there with this help. Also quite nicely luring the deer inside the TC, so that's a pretty nice job by him. Yeah, I can see one already dead. Well, actually two. Yeah, this is a sheep. Okay, so 2 deer already nicely in, and since you don't have really anything to do in the early minutes of water maps like migration, yeah, he can just spend all his time having fun with the deers in here. Not ideal placement of the stone mine, obviously. It's going to be in range of the water, whereas gold, yeah, that's also pretty much the same as for LoS. A bit of a problem in there, but not much else. And this is kind of similar placement as Gach, but for Gach it's slightly worse as he's having the gold mines right next to the water, whereas this is kind of not bad. Of course, this is going to be in range in maybe even by War Galleys in Castle Age, but definitely in the Imperial Age. But at that stage of the game, it shouldn't really matter all that much. So, dock position, very aggressive from Cambridge, so he's definitely thinking about offensive very soon. Very nice fishing right here by the mill, so that's a pretty nice because obviously shorefish are the fastest food source. So he's taking advantage of that quite nicely, as it's much more efficient than those berries. Whereas placement of the dock by Miguelzin is kind of the same as for Gach, trying to secure the passage between the islands rather than go for full-on offensive in here. And that's quite a lot of fishing in here. That's quite a lot of fishing indeed, still quite a lot of short fish left, and he's not even needing mill, as he's saving the resources for extra boats and potentially advance into the next age. So first to feudal will be Cambridge, with 21 villagers, whereas Tito is 21 as well, Tatoch 24, Safaro as well, Miguelzin 23. So it seems like that Tatoch, Miguelzin and Safaro will be jumping into the castle age, definitely true for Tatoch and Ryut, as they will be probably advancing with 26 or 27 villagers. We'll see pretty soon, probably 27, we'll see how fast they will be advancing. But, well, somebody else advancing right now, Miguelzin, and yeah, he is at 23 villies, which is a bit stronger than his opponent Cambridge, who is advancing at just 21, and that could be making quite a lot of difference, because they will be the ones engaging each other, yellow and green. Green is already going for a second dock, and he will be having stronger economy by 2 villagers, and fishing boats are the same. Okay, so just those 2 villagers, but it really could be making difference in the gameplay in here. So how's it looking with extra docks for Safaro? Well, he doesn't really want to keep his scout cavalry just idling around, so he's having a patrol the grounds in here. And second and third dock are actually on the right, so it's maybe signaling that he will be attempting to go and help Gach on the right. And this might be the reaction exactly for Setito being on the right side, who's also advancing into feudal. So really, 2 fast, or rather faster advances from ByTs into the feudal age, which should signal quite a lot of galleys coming in very soon. Let's switch into Cambridge. Yeah, already building galleys from 3 docks, so Japanese with 3 docks, whereas 3 docks by Miguelzin Azahan on the left. And is he going for 4th? Oh yeah, he actually is. He's going for a 4th dock, and I kind of think that he can much more easily supply the production, exactly because of the difference in villies. And really, I can't repeat this enough. In this high-level match, even things like this could be making quite a lot of difference. And actually, it's not a small difference, actually a pretty important one. So, extra release coming in, potentially hoping to build what? Gach is at 26 release, so he's advancing into castle. So going for a mining camp and potentially even for a blacksmith about here, and maybe even second dock. Or already third one? No, just a second it seems. Doesn't have more. One at the back, so it's going to be a third dock. Which basically signals that he's not going for it all that offensively and will be hoping that he can survive long enough. But a lot of docks propping up, or rather propping up for the teal player. He's already having 5. Okay, so that's nice. And he can actually go around the island at the back as well, which is a bit of a difference between the teams, and could be actually some nice help depending how they decide to use it. Well, Cambridge was trying to make something useful out of his faster advance than his green opponent, but unfortunately for him it didn't really work out. So these 2 are basically sentenced to death. They will die sometime sooner rather than later, as obviously. Yeah, they are going to be caught between a rock and a hard place sometime soon. But otherwise, all of green coming into yellow's base, but yellow is already preparing for the extra attack, and well, he will be forced to actually move back or somewhere else with those fishing boats, but shouldn't be all that much of a problem. He's still having some extras top up if you have a look at the minimap. Otherwise, not really any kind of empty spots for either of their clans, so not really any kind of screw of the map in here. A bit of an emptiness around yellow, I think, can be accounted to actually already being fished out. With Castle Age being for Safaro, the first one, and he's also going for coinage and gold mining. Wow! So is he actually going to be? I have no idea what he's going to do with coinage and this. Well, but he is going for it. But looking how he is actually Viking, he might be preparing himself for fast landing and then booming off and basically slinging his allies. So that could definitely be a pretty good idea. He has a pretty good position for it as well, since he's a pocket, and this could be really the course of action. So far he's not building all that many boats. This is just a Miguelzin in here. It's probably going to be sticking there unless Ryut tells him, as I don't think that Miguelzin will notice that they actually ended up there. And yet Tato is right now slinging. Wow, into Cambridge. Well, that's a bit unexpected, because you would be expecting that Tatok would be the one slung, as he's the strongest player, but so far that's not happening, and he will be hoping that his allies can do the job for him. Tatuch and Safaro both advancing, both pockets. with the difference that Tatoch is actually Han, whereas Safaro is Viking, so that's a bit of a difference. But on the top side, it seems like that Mikkelsen is doing a pretty good job. Pretty good job with eliminating the threat from Cambridge, and yeah, he's having a hard time defending, even through all the slinging that he is receiving from his ally Tatoch. So cartography and castle age for him, so that was the reason for the sling into Cambridge, and he will be probably just building into his docks, yeah, exactly, and waiting for the war galleys when they come up. He's also having a market. Curious. So he might be also thinking about switching into slinging into someone. That's curious. But well, we see the first landing in here, or actually already second, or basically at the same time. And this is from Safaro. This Wolfie is not going to be a problem, even though he needs to be careful as he doesn't have loom. Yeah, notices at exactly the last moment, kinda. Yeah, it could have been pretty bad for him, but just one lost really wouldn't be really that much of a tragedy. The pocket from the other team is also landing, so pretty much the same strategy it seems from both teams. Just the switch in the civilizations with TC being built by Batoch, whereas on the right we see not much of a battle between Gach and Setito as they are just waiting for the castle ages, especially for Gach, who is right now advancing. Castle ages from Migalzin and Cambridge, so really so far it seems like that the game is really as equal as it can be, even though looking at the score, well, that's a pretty substantial lead by Safaro and team by 200, but really, otherwise the advances are pretty much okay. And looking at the VDs, we have ByT 38-33 times 2, 32, 35, 32, which means that LoS are behind, but they are also having pretty strong water economy, and that could be making the difference in here. Just Tatoch is having a lot of fishing boats, but that might not be enough. And, well, this could be changing things as well. Those fire ships from Tatoch and a very nicely placed dock on the mainland here will be also quite important for controlling the map from now on. Already second TC being built by Safaro, and, well, War Galley, Horse Scholar, okay, so that's quite a lot of echo, and also he's attempting to go into the water, and he will be helping on the right side to Gach, yeah, right now, saying to his teammate that they need to go into attack. Yeah, Tech Fenlor. Exactly, Safaro is Riot. Exactly right. And so far he seems to be having a pretty nice game. But Tatoch has the strongest player from ByT also, so it's going to be yet another clash between those two big players. First game, Tatoch was the better one, but in here it is still very much open. But looking how Safaro is helping with the water at the bottom, whereas Tatoch is literally not doing anything on the water. Yeah, he's having just a few fire ships, which is not really beside all that much. But he's also going for a bit of a transporting in here, and he might be attempting to actually help his ally transport some VDs. So let's see if that's going to be happening or not. But, well, he needs to be careful as the army, or rather navy from Safaro together with Gach is already nearing in. So, can they notice? Yeah, they did. Of course they did. Of course they did. And is he going to deploy any kind of villages? Or is he even anything in there? Probably not, because there is not having any kind of flag. So goodbye transport ship. Yeah, the last one. And the water seems to be pretty strongly in boats. LoS power on the right side. Let's just check into Setito how many boats he has prepared as he's advancing into Castle Age and waiting for War Galleys himself, but he doesn't have all that many. And still, I'm kind of thinking that the army from Gach with a loss, Riot is going to be strong enough, especially with the reinforcements coming from the bottom. At the top, the battle is not really, has not advanced anywhere. So far, Migelsin with Cambridge are having pretty much an equal fight between themselves, so yeah, nicely played. Botkin arrow coming for Tatoch, that's kind of interesting, so he could be thinking that he is in a position to actually go for some water fight. Is he building some docks somewhere? No, he's just building quite a lot of extra fire ships, and well, that could be also helping him in the fight and his whole team. Otherwise, on the mainland, we see quite a lot of archer ranges, and this is the reason for Botkin arrow, of course. Those cavalry archers from the Han, and he will be trying to stop any kind of boom by his opponents, and well, I'm kinda afraid he might be a bit too late. But looking how Safaro is not prepared at all. He's having just 2 TCs in here and Monastery trying to capture some of the relics. Yeah, well, this is going to be a bit of a tough luck for you. Looking at the amount of resources in here, very nice gold and stone, he should be really thinking about the TC about here, but also arriving cavalry archers are probably going to be putting a stop exactly to that. Otherwise, the placement of the gold mines on the left is very nicely in LoS favor, but there is still some extras for the blue player as well and his whole team, so it's not really any kind of disadvantage for them. Some kind of aggressive build. Where is this going to lead? Maybe here to cover this gold. So far, no, they seem to be going somewhere else, so let's switch into Tatoch. Not Miguelzin, Tatoch. And we should be seeing where is he actually heading. Oh, well, he's trying to drop a siege workshop right next to the monastery. So let's see if that's going to be successful. I'm not entirely positive. This scout should be seeing it. Right. Oh yeah, he will be seeing it quite well. So let's see if he can actually if he can stop it, because he doesn't have any kind of army. And looking at those cavalry archers already in place, he could be just easily really building it on his opponent's doorstep, as obviously. Well, how are you planning to stop this? Without anything, and well, he actually in the end decided to stop it. He has built it just outside of the range, so that's very nicely played. And really, this is going to be helping him quite nicely, and a big problem for the whole LoS team, because even though they are having a pretty good time on the water, if you have a look at the minimap, they are basically winning on the right side quite nicely and comfortably, or comfortably. Satito is trying to put up some fight, but on the left it seems to be more or less... I was actually going to say won, but not really. This seems to be just some kind of interim. Safaro is switching to the left side quite substantially with some boats, but it might not be enough because, yeah, the water battle is not going all that well for them and it's not really decided, but it also seems like that either of the teams is interested in the water anymore. Or rather, neither interested in the water anymore, as they are moving on to the mainland. Especially Green is building stables in here and looking how his Hans, of course, you know what we can expect. It's going to be a difference between him and his opponent Tatoch, as Tatoch is going for cavalry archers, switching to the top, will be trying to stop those willies. But unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to notice actually this TC, which is a big luck for Miguelzin, as this will allow to boom him very nicely and won't be stopped by those pesky cavalry archers, which are, or rather who are, at the right place, but yeah, he could have been at a bit better place, a bit further north. So far not happening, and he's right now retreating so that he doesn't lose the villages needlessly, helping with his boats and of course getting some knights out. And well, this is also the moment where Yellow is returning to the battle and is trying to put some pressure on his opponents, trying to stop what is happening in here, but looking at the TC, which could be pretty nice support if some kind of villager is actually put inside the TC for some extra fire. This could be a pretty easy job for defensive minded LoS. So Imperial H right now for Miguelzin in. Areas in the middle, Tatoch is just basically trying to occupy the whole island, and he's even winning on score by 100 above Safaro. But looking at the villies, we have Tatoch at 96 with Safaro at 76, and that's a pretty big difference. And looking at the fishing boats, Safaro is having 8 more, but it's still nothing compared, or nothing at the same level of what Blue is having. Also quite a lot of idols right now for Safaro, so he's definitely suffering, and he doesn't have enough units to even deal with those rams coming into his base and especially being covered by those cavalry archers. So very nice job, and Tatoch yet again winning against Riot in here, so that's pretty important. Let's turn on the chat yet again so that we don't receive any kind of spoilers, but it might not be really fast enough, and even though he's going to lose the TC in here, and there's no stopping it really, he's in a bit of a trouble, because Cavaliers are right now coming in from Miguelzin, and yeah, they will be quite probably very soon Paladins, and this is a moment where Blue needs to retreat, as he doesn't even have heavy cavalry archers, as they are just now being researched. Imperial H for Gach as well, so we see a double Imperial H from LoS, whereas just one from ByTs in Tatoch. So yeah, this is two players quite nicely blended, with a bit of a water battle still going on, but it seems like that Safaro together with Green are pretty much in a correct moment, and it seems like that actually Miguelzin is giving up on the water more or less, and he's just letting it be on Safaro, who is a Viking, so of course, and right now Miguelzin will be concentrating on helping on the land with those Cavaliers and potentially Paladins very soon. Galeon coming in for Gach, who is basically owning the waters on the right side, trying to stop or owning the waters. Well, that was kind of hasty. It shouldn't have been, because there's quite a lot of extra boats from Red. And he's actually built a very important castle because it's protecting the gold. And also a big problem for actually Grey to do something about it, as castles are very strong defensible buildings on the shorelines. So he's trying to actually put at least some boats from blue on the bottom of the sea. So that's something that is working for him. And well, blue is still very much interested in fighting with Safarao, and looking how actually green doesn't have the kawaiis anymore in here. It just went back for some rather obscure reason. I don't see anything here at all why he would need to actually retreat, and yeah, this is a bit of a problem for him and could be costing some villages to his ally Safarao. Yeah, it seems like I would be guessing that those three messages are saying exactly something like that. He's telling to Gach something that he should be careful in here, who is already also landed, of course, as all six are already on the mainland. And building a castle as a Japanese, well, there's going to be a lot of samurais coming into the gameplay very soon from them. Oh well, he needs to be careful. Because Siege Workshop, very offensively built ByT, he's definitely thinking that he can delete Safarov from the face of the earth. But looking at the amount of kawaiis, that's not going to happen, especially with those two TCs and a castle, and very, very nicely capturing this very important part of the map with two huge gold mines. A lot of, a lot of skeletons in here. So yeah, Safarov lost some villies in here. Most definitely, whereas on the right we see a bit of a raiding by Miguelzin, who is right now in blue's base and also in red's, but doesn't seem to be all that effective as he's facing a lot of TC fire and also some cavalry archers from Tatoch. Burial H coming for Setito, who is one of the last ones who is in advance. Cambridge either, and the last one Safarao also not. But I would be kind of thinking that Safarao is comfortable in the castle age and probably is thinking quite a lot, building also some how is it called, boats. Yeah, you can see that he's fully slinging. That's full sling from him, whereas not much going on from the other players. That could really be, oh, who was he actually slinging? I forgot to check into Miguelzin, and Miguelzin is going to be the one right now with Paladins, who will be the most important player on the land for LoS. He seems to be exactly at the correct moment because a few deployment of villagers from Cambridge have just arrived on this map. Well, is it going to be enough for him? He will be definitely disrupting any kind of economy from them. Wolfie trying to take care and help ByT, but it's not probably going to be enough. Especially those cavalry archers should be retreating, which they right now are, and yeah, be some kind of siege, because without siege, those halberdiers will be just enough to defend either Cambridge or Tatoch. He needs to be a bit careful, but he's literally all over the place, going for Blast Furnace for better attack of those paladins, and he's really a pest for his opponents, as they are having to fight on the right side, on the left, literally all over the map. If you have a look on the minimap, he's literally everywhere, which means there's a free space, literally. His teammate Gach with Safarao to develop however they wish. They are going for chemistry. Interesting. So is that going to be cannon galleons from him? Probably. Probably to kill anything that is on the red island, which could be really useful for him, as if he can house his opponent and especially deny some kind of gold gathering, and especially this stone, it could go long ways to securing the victory for his team. On the top side, there's a bit of a battle of pretty big number of paladins against a lot of halberdiers with heavy cavalry archers from Tatoch. Should be reasonably going for the green player. Yeah, I was kinda maybe thinking that blue would be having a slightly better chance, but he wasn't having the numbers in here. And yeah, here we see with the GGs, and Miguel basically just steamrolled over everybody with a strong sling from Real, and that's very nicely played. And LoS have chosen the correct home map, and they are tying the match at 1-1. So quite nicely played. GG. Yeah, he was literally absolutely everywhere. You see green dots in all the three bases in here. Nicely played. Very nicely played by Miguelzin. Even though the very start of the landing between Tatoch and Zeriut, Tatoch played it quite nicely. Was really doing very well, but then the sling, when Safarao actually switched into slinging into Miguelzin, and well, that was pretty much it. Those Cavaliers were what did them. So let's have a look at the achievements. Where Miguelzin is going to be the MVP. Well, most definitely. He was also slung, so that helps you a lot in the score. But yeah, pretty big sling. Of course, even Gach was helping him. Oh wow, they were just betting on the one card, and it did pay off quite strongly. Alright then, GG.